It's Deb, the Spatially Challenged Knitter. And I'm a knitter who took this up late in life, consider myself to be an adventurous beginner knitter, beginner / getting more experienced beginner knitter because I'm taking on harder things. And I podcast from the San Diego area. And so I like to talk, I only knit, but I have friends who crochet and I do try to get them on the show. Normally this is called the Spatially Challenged Knitter and Friends, unless I'm traveling. And then it's the Spatially Challenged Knitter. But I haven't been able to get the friends on the show very often lately because my friend who was a regular on the show, Jen, has a baby who is, I believe, 5 months old now. Happy 5th to you, Lena, 5th month. And so she is, up to her eyeballs in new baby stuff and knitting a little bit. We're getting her back into knitting, but busy. And then my other two friends that come on the show a lot, Julie and Chris, who is the crocheter, they are still working. They're teachers, and it's March, and they are not out until May. And so it's been a little bit harder with everybody's busy schedules this year to get them on the podcast. So it's been me, and I think my mom was on in December. She was out visiting. And so it's just been me for a while, and it will be me on this episode, and hopefully I will get some friends on the next episode in April. But this is going to be a kind of normal podcast format. I've been kind of going out of order lately. My last podcast was a review of Nash Knit Fest in Nashville, and I'm going to be doing some upcoming traveling, going to Toronto in May, and I really would like to go to a yarn shop while I'm there, and doing a lot of knitting traveling during the summer and the fall. So that's going to be different, but we're on a pretty much regular traditional podcast today. Let's start with my finished objects. And the first finished object is what I'm wearing with my new little scarf thingy bobby from Nashville. And I do really love this because I can take this. It's like a Sophie scarf. It's Unling. I'll put the name of the pattern up. And it's made with their Unling yarn that I got on my Copenhagen knit trip. And I'm able to just kind of loosely wrap it around the front, not have to worry about tying it, and put my little scarf holder thing, and I'll scoot back a little bit so you can see it better. And it's just super easy to wear a scarf like this because it's a little bit, I don't know if you can see, but it's a little bit cloudy out there today and a little chilly for San Diego. We're having kind of a chilly little spring here in San Diego. And when I say chilly, I'm sorry to all you people who are actually really cold. We're in the low 60s, and for us that's chilly because normally we don't run heat in our house in California. So it's a little chilly. So putting on this is just enough to kind of warm you up and snuggle you up. So this was made with 2 skeins of the Unling yarn and different size stripes, and I will put this on my Ravelry page. Oh, and that is something I do want to do in admin. I was trying to do a Spatially Challenged Knitter. It was called like the SPK knitting thing on Ravelry. And I can barely remember to do the stuff on my other Ravelry page. I can't keep a separate one for the Spatially Challenged Knitter. So I'm going to list my regular Ravelry page. And so it's going to have everything I've ever made since the beginning of time that I put up there, and probably horrendous notes. I'm trying to get better about listing projects as I finish them and actually taking notes and writing things down. So I will put that Ravelry up, and you can refer to it for pattern information. And I will try to update that and make sure that everything gets in there that I show in this episode. So anyway, this is finished object number 1. I believe I finished it in December and then just actually never filmed a regular podcast or maybe it was January. I'm not sure. But anyway, finished it and love it. Wear it a lot. My second finished object is the My Jose hood. And I made this for my sister-in-law, Pam, because we are going on a trip down the Danube to the Christmas markets. And it's a knitting trip down the Danube to the Christmas markets. So when you're on the ship, you are taking knitting classes from instructors. And then when you're out in the ports, you're sightseeing and going to the Christmas markets. So we knew we were going to need some warm gear because even though she's from Iowa, she doesn't normally, she normally gets in her car, goes to someone's house, goes shopping and stuff, doesn't really wear hats and stuff. So we decided we would do a hood because we thought, it seemed a little bit more practical than having to carry a hat and a scarf. And so we decided we also have to we have to be really careful that when you're young, you can pull anything off. When you get to be an older person, and Pam's a little older than I am, like I think 4 or 5 years older than we are, Mike and myself, my husband, Mike, and myself, if you put on the wrong thing, especially a hood, you can look like one of those little old Russian babushka ladies really quickly. And so the reason that I liked the My Jose hood was because of the I-cord and the way it came around and tied with I-cord in a bow instead of just like wrapping around like a scarf and making you really look like a babushka person. And I took a picture of me wearing it. I'll insert a picture. Pam hasn't got to wear it or see it yet because I haven't sent it to her. But here is, and I've got a couple pictures of it laid out. Here is the My Jose hood. And you'll see it looks like variegated yarn. It looks very colorful. And that is not the case, actually. I was not going to hold this with Mohair, but Pam had picked out for her songbird mitts, and I'll put a picture of the pattern up for her mittens. She had picked out this pink and this blue, and we had bought it back in Iowa where she lives. And I went away to Vogue Knitting in January and thought, oh my gosh, this is the softest yarn. It'll be perfect for the My Jose hood, and it's a perfect match for the blue. Well, I hope you can see it's not even close. It's not even close to being a perfect match for the blue. So when Pam came out to visit me in February in California, I said, what do you want to do here? I can, you still use this blue yarn because it's alpaca, it's like super soft, and I'll list the yarn on the Ravelry page. Or I can try to find something, we can go yarn shopping and we can try to find something else because this is not even close. It's not going to match. It's not going to be a set. And we did kind of want to have a set. So anyway, we went to our one of our local yarn shops, Apricot Yarn in Liberty Station. And they had this Berroco Ariel color, and it's a mohair. Let's see what it says. 65% mohair, super kid, 35% silk. And she immediately just like walked over to the bin and said, hey, let's put this together with the blue. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, well, it kind of does go with these other colors. It really kind of makes it work. And it looks like it'll look great together with the blue. So this is what happened when I put it together, and it's gonna look great with the songbird mitts. I don't know if you can see all the pinks in it and all the different, there's dark colors in it that absolutely perfectly match this yarn. And so it was like a great call by Pam. I would have never picked this one out. And it is going to be perfect for the set. So I finished my Jose hood. I'm getting ready to start mine fairly soon. I haven't done it yet because I've kind of got an order in which I'm doing things just to make sure that I get everything knit for the trips that I'm going on. And so there's a specific order, but finished object number 2, my Jose hood for Pam. And then future work in progress, the songbird mitts, which I don't know if you can see, Songbird Mittens by Erica Hauser. And it will look blurry because it had a little wine spill on it when I was at Pam's house and was knitting, and got a little wine down the front of the pattern. And so anyway, you can get an idea of what they're going to be. The birds will be the blue and the pink will be the background. Okay, so that was finished object number 2. Finished object number 3. Oh, I don't have. It was on my list. In January, I went down and I made a list. I took out every project bag that I had and I wrote down a list of every thing that I had started, every languishing, lingering whip that I had in the house. And so I had, by the time I got done, I had 16 items on the list. And one of them, and it was the one that I starred as a priority finish, was Lena's gift, because I wanted to make sure she could wear it this winter and get some use out of it. And I had already started it and put it down. So I was pretty much done with it. And really all I had left was the sleeves. And small circumference baby sleeves are like, it takes you as long as knitting a sweater to do it on Magic Loop. It is not my favorite thing to do. And no offense, Lena, love you to death, but do not really love it. But anyway, it was number 3 on the list. And so that is knocked out. I have finished Lena's gift, and I finished it in March of 2025. And so that one is knocked off the list of lingering whips here. And there's some other ones that I've had to go in and adjust. Like number 1 on the list was Amy's Colorwork cardigan. And I had set the date as May 24th, which is her birthday. And I wanted to give it to her for a birthday present. And if you watched my Nashville thing, I am never going to get that cardigan done by May 24th. I have things that I have to knit for myself. And so she's going to get that later on, probably next year. And the yarn will wait. She's not going anywhere. She will get it next year. And I bought some yellow yarn for her in Nashville. I'm going to make her a little Sophie scarf. She'll get something that's hand knit, and she gets her Padre socks. So this one is going to be not a birthday gift. It is going to be 2026. So as I'm going through things, I'm crossing them off the list, doing things to get rid of them. Oh, and I did give Jen the ugly socks, the vanilla ugly socks, and got rid of them and gave them to Jen so she could finish a pair of socks and have them, because I will never wear those socks. So that's done. And Pam, when she came out in February, tried on the cursed socks where I had made the legs 2 different sizes. And I said, okay, I can rip out the ribbing, I can cut them, I can fix them. And she said, or I can just flip the ribbing down and then they're the same size. And I said, but you're flipping the ribbing down on one sock. And she said, it doesn't bother me, I don't care. So I got rid of the cursed socks for Pam. So I'm really like going through my little list here. The only thing that's on here on page 1 right now is Amy's Colorwork Cardigan, which we now know is going to be 2026, and the Malabrigo knit-along shawl. I wanted to finish that by August 15th to take on the trip, and I am changing that. This has no date. I'm going to do it. I love it. I'm going to make it, but I am not going to have it done by August. So my first page here has been taken care of. So I'm going to insert some video that I did take before I gave the Lena's gift to her. And so you can see what it turned out like, and I will insert the pattern information. And it was made, I needed to tell you what color of yarn it was. It was made out of this Knitting for Olive, cotton merino, and the color is coral. Okay, so I'm also giving this extra ball that I have to Jen because as we were looking at it, I was like, you know, the top part of this, especially with the little crocheted tab that Chris made at our knitting group, is going to fit her for a really long time. It can end up being, if we just cut the legs off and do a little lace edge, it can be a little shirt, and then we could make her some little a diaper cover with this, or we could make it a little bit longer and make it into a dress, because this thing is going to be able, she's going to be able to wear it for a while. So I'm giving this yarn, leftover yarn, to Jen so that she can do what she wants to when Lena outgrows the romper. So anyway, that was finished object number 3. Hi. And welcome to a segment of the finished objects portion of the podcast. And sorry for the wet hair, fresh out of the shower look, but I'm on my way to the knitting group and realized if I didn't film this, I'm going to be giving the gift away at the knitting group and I won't have anything to show you. This was Lena's baby gift. And so it is called the Daisy Jumpsuit. Here's the pattern. It's from Knitting for Olive. And I decided I was going to do a little combination. So I did modify the jumpsuit a little bit. I wanted to put sleeves in it, just little sleeves, because to me, with the long legs, it made it kind of a more springy and cool evening outfit. So I took the other Knitting for Olive pattern that I've already knitted, which is called the Ruffle Romper, and I just took the sleeve information out of the Ruffle Romper and added it into the Daisy jumpsuit. And so I knitted this for Lena's sister, Margot, but I knitted it without sleeves on that one. I guess I can't follow a pattern, but because it was for the summer. And I didn't want it to be too warm for her for in the summer, so I knitted a sleeveless version of that. So I was finally able to knit the sleeves and found out that baby sleeves are very small circumference. You have to do magic loop, and yikes, it takes as long to knit an adult sweater, I swear, as it does to knit 2 baby sleeves on magic loop. But anyway, I was able to, the yarn that I used is Knitting for Olive, and I will put the color number up because I don't have the extra ball with me, but I want to show you the finished object. So here is my little romper with its beautiful little collar. And the only thing I will say is I don't know if I'm such a fan of Knitting for Olive. This is the Merino cotton blend, and I see and maybe this is just me as a knitter, I see every increase that I did along here. And every time I pick it up and my tension was a little bit different, I see all these little things in my stockinette. And I think it's because you just hold it single and it's fingering weight, and so it does show every little teeny thing that you have, but that kind of bugs me about it, I will say. As far as the pattern goes, it was fairly easy to follow. Don't have a lot of problems with it. There was a few places where I was a little confused, and I actually think that like I did it maybe backwards. I don't know. I think that I was supposed to put the buttonholes on the other side so that the buttonholes showed the buttons more. It looks like it does that on the pattern, but I don't know. I did my best. So anyway, I was really happy with these buttons. My mom had a button jar or a button container, and she was cleaning out buttons. And so I went through all of the buttons that I wanted and thought that I would ever use. And so these are actually very vintagey buttons. I probably from the maybe 60s or 70s, and they were 5 of these little La Petite flower buttons. And you can see that they were only 90 cents back then. And they says they're plastic and they're washable. And then this is the button for the back of the neck. And I'll get into why this is still on here when I'm calling it a finished object with some, I unplied the yarn and I used that as thread to sew the buttons on so that it would match. So you can see that, like, here's the crotch with all the little cute flowery buttons pulled on. And thank you to Amy. She came over and immediately just picked these out and said, these are the ones. And they are super cute on here on the crotch portion of the garment, so you can change diapers. But when I got finished and put the collar on and did my little cast off and matched the sides of my collar to my neck, there's absolutely no stretch in this whatsoever. It's on here, it's gonna be on here forever. And then I went to the yarn shop and thought, you know, this looks like a really small neck for a baby that's supposed to be 9 months old, 6 to 9 months. And I don't know if this is gonna fit Lena. And so we actually measured her neck at the yarn store, and her neck was, they said 10 inches with giving her a little room so it's not gonna strangle her. This, unfortunately, is like 9 3/4 inches. So I have a friend, Chris, who I've had on the show before, and she crochets, and I want her to just go underneath this knit collar and do a little crocheted tab out here, and then you're supposed to put a loop around it anyway, so we can crochet a loop from the other side and maybe crochet a little matching tab so that it doesn't look like the tab's all on one side, and make it big enough so we can put the button off to the side, and then that's going to give us another, I think, what we need for the neck. So that's why you'll see some yarn on here. I'm hoping this is enough for Chris to crochet a tab, and I've got another ball, and I've got a little bit of extra that I'm bringing with, and I'm going to have her fix the neck for me just so that Lena's not choking and hating my outfit. But the collar was really fun to knit. It was a lace collar, and it was laid out very well. It was super easy to knit compared to the other ruffle jumper where I had a lot of problems getting this to ruffle properly. This was a pleasure, and it was absolutely built into it how it was supposed to lay and look really beautiful on the outfit. So anyway, it is a finished object. I believe I used 3 skeins of yarn, and I have the 4th skein that I bought just in case of the Knitting for Olive, and used basically all of it, and have the 4th so that if we want to make her a little matching something or other, some booties or a little headband or whatever, we can do that. Or otherwise it could be part of a cute striped sweater with some cream in it. I think this would be super cute for a baby girl to do. Possibly hold it double and do some pink stripes in a cream colored sweater. So this is my finished object for Lena. And it's one of my lingering whips that I can cross off my list. So I am trying to get that pile down, and I am off to knitting so that I can give it to her and work on another languishing whip. And that's it. Thank you. Bye-bye. So that is it on the finished objects. So we're going to go to the work in progress section. And I'll show you, I kind of have things, I know that I need to get done, but I'm working on them in sections, and kind of time prioritizing them based on my travel. My first two works in progress are baby blankets. After I told everyone this is the year of selfish knitting for Deb, stop having babies, doggone if those playgroup kids, the younger ones, don't keep having babies. So we have two new additions to the playgroup family, and one is in May, and it is the end of March. Like, this is the last week of March. And we have one in April. So it's like, I think the first week of May, the one is due, and the little girl is due, who is in LA, and then the second one, who is on the East Coast in Washington, D.C., in Alexandria, she is due, I believe, the first or second week of April. So I have baby blankets. So the playgroup baby blanket for me, because some of our playgroup kids have other people who knit and crochet, and they do really fancy stuff. And so I've always said, and if you've watched the podcast for a while, you've seen a bazillion of these blankets. I've always said that they need to have a blanket that they don't have to be precious with. And so this is the kind of blanket that it's made out of superwash wool. It's nice and heavy and thick. It's very plain. It's just garter stitch around the edges and then stockinette in the middle. And it's 4 balls, so it's huge, of this Euro Baby Fair Isle. And this is a yarn that unfortunately has been discontinued. It's EYB, and it is Fair Isle, and it is superwash Australian wool blend, 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon, and it is, I believe, a DK. And anyway, so I have always made my blankets out of this for babies, and I use the same pattern, which is, cast on, I think it's 40 stitches here, 40 stitches on the other end, and it's 180 stitches, and maybe it's 20 on each end. I think it's 20 on each end. So it's 140 in the center, and then 40 stitch garter stitch border. And then you weigh your yarn at the beginning to know how much yarn you're going to need at the end so that you have enough on the other end for the other garter stitch border. And it's made out of my favorite color, honestly, for girls, which is called Vintage, color number 26, Vintage. And this is what it looks like in the ball. I am on the 4th ball of 4 balls. And not only that, I am down to, I weighed it, I have 120 some grams. I needed 100, I used 129 to make the garter stitch border at the bottom. And I had that, I think it was actually 128, but it whatever. And so I'm on the final garter stitch section of this blanket. So it is my TV knitting at night, because you just do nothing but go back and forth, so you can actually watch things with subtitles or things that you need to be paying attention to, and just randomly go, especially now that it is just nothing but garter stitch till the end of the blanket. So this is baby blanket work in progress, number 1. There is no pattern. It's just, simple pattern, and the yarn makes all of the pattern for you. Baby blanket number 2. This this one has been so much fun. It is called the Sweet Shop Blanket by Laura Penrose, and it looks like a quilt. And so it looks like you're putting together quilt squares to make a quilt, but I mean, all of the squares go the same direction. The color's always going the same direction. And I had a bunch of minis, and I talked about this, I think, in an earlier podcast, but in an Advent, I got a bunch of minis. So I took my minis, because this is fingering weight, and it is just enough. And I have to hold it double, so I have to be able to pull from both ends. So I wound it so that I had both ends showing, and I have a little bag full of them, so that I took it with me to Nashville and got almost nothing done on it. And then picked up a couple extra skeins in Nashville, because I was a little short on the color choices. And I'm using all of these different mini skeins. These were all the ones that I had from the Christmas Advent are Emma's yarn. And I can't tell you, they're called Tinies. And I can't tell you what the name of them was, because they just came in the Advent as like, this was day 11. So it says 11 on it. So at first I was trying to keep them in order and go in order the way I opened them. And then I didn't end up liking that for the blanket. Oh, and I'm mixing it with a solid cream, kind of like what was on here for my inspiration. And what I did was go and get Ba La Jolla yarn. And I got the fingering weight as well, so I'm holding it double. This is the first skein, and I've got this still to go, because you're supposed to put a I-cord border all the way around the blanket when you finish it. So I have that going. And this is for the May baby, so I got to really get going on this, because even though it's not hard, it takes a deceptively long amount of time to make one of these squares. So I'll insert a couple pictures in here, because I've been kind of taking pictures as I go along, and I'm working on it. You can see all the different little minis, and they're all kind of a multicolor, variegated tone. So I'm just kind of putting them together willy-nilly and trying to keep like there's 2 blues, even though they're different colors of blues. Now, and this one has some blue in it as well, and it was a little bit darker, so I went with a little bit darker over there. So there's kind of like a randomness to my madness, and then I'll add in, I've got other lighter blues. I've got blue and pinky purple, like this might go on the end of this row up above. This pink, because it's got the color of the dark and it's got the pink in it. Or I might need to pull some more green, so I've got a green here with some purpley in it. So I'm just kind of randomly putting them together. And I truly enjoy this process. And you sew the ends in as you go. So this is what the back side of it looks like. It's not quite as pretty as the front, because you can see your seaming a little bit more in the back. but you do sew the ends in so you don't have all the ends to sew in when you're done. So I've been trying to keep up and do that for the most part. And I really am liking this. And the reason she's getting this is because she already has a son who has the family this blanket already. And I figure you don't need two of those in a family. The only time I've ever done two was when one of the girls had twins, and I gave each twin the same blanket, but in a little bit different colors because I figured they're twins. They each need their own blanket. So anyway, but I am enjoying doing this because it is the second child in the family. And this is going to be a smaller blanket, more of like, I think, a strollery kind of blanket, or just to wrap up and snuggle, if the evening's chilly and they live by the beach, and if they're out at the beach and they just want something that they can snuggle the baby in that's not huge. So it's going to be 6 squares wide, and this is 4 squares right here. And then it hasn't been blocked, so it'll be bigger. So if I added 2 more squares to this, and then 6 times 8 is 48. No, that's not right. 4 squares wide by 6 squares. I don't know. I'm just gonna have to see. I may end up adding another row if I think it's too small. But anyway, so this is my other baby blanket work in progress that I'm really, really working hard on right now because I have to get it done before the baby comes in May. Then I have 3 other active whips. I had been working on my maple vest, and Julie and I were having a knit along, and then it was a little bit more difficult. And I've put up real colored pictures of this before, and so you've been able to see it, but I hope you can see it. It's got like a cabling detail, very simple, cabling detail down here with the split, cabling detail here, and cabling up around the armholes. And then it's stockinette in the middle. But it's a little bit longer in the back. I'm not quite sure how long I'm gonna make that in the back, and then the front. So anyway, here's a better picture. I think that you might be able to see the cabling. So here's, which I don't want to show you all the pattern information. Sorry person who wrote the pattern, but you can see the detail a little bit. And it's like I said, very simple cable. The thing that's making it a little bit more tricky for me is I have to, in order to get gauge, I had to use 2 strands of mohair and 1 strand of the regular yarn. And so I have to keep the mohair separated or it tangles horrendously. And I have the regular strand of yarn. So I've got them hanging on these wooden holders to keep all the yarn separated and minded, and so that I can knit. And the reason I threw it aside and just kind of didn't get back to it was because I wasn't happy with how the front knitting was turning out. I wasn't happy with how the front cabling was turning out. I thought underneath the armholes was really messy, and I didn't like it. So I knew, and then I found when I had gone to the ribbing all around, was down at the bottom, was doing the ribbing all around in the front, and I found a mistake that I had made. And so it was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to rip back out, or can I live with this? And so I was it's one of those things that you throw it into the puzzle, on the puzzle table, and put it in timeout, and then you go back to it. So I came back, and it was like, no, I can't. I am the Spatially Challenged Knitter. My knitting is never perfect. It never will be perfect, but this was too much for me to live with. So I ripped the entire front back to the armhole and re-knit the pattern going down from the armhole and the front flap and the front. So all of this was ripped out back up to the armhole. And let me show you, this is the front. So you can kind of see it. And then, so I turned it around and finished the front, and now I've finished the back. And I'm pretty much to the point now where I am at the back to the point where it's even with the front, and I need to start doing the all over cable, and then it's done. I'm literally that close. I already did the pickup for the arms and did the stitching for that. I did the neck already and did the crochet, not very well, the crochet that it called for. I really kind of think I need to just whip stitch it down a little bit to give it a neater edge and make it stay down, but that's for later. So I am so close to finishing this that in April, this should be a finished object, because all I have left is this ribbing band, which is longer in the back, to do, and then I'm done. And this is going with me on my, I would like to take it to, in May, to Canada. We're going to Toronto, and, you know, depending on the temperature, but we're going up to see the Padres play the Toronto Blue Jays in Canada. So I would like to take this with me and be able to wear it with just a white blouse or with one of my chambray shirts, because I think it's just enough warmth, but it's not gonna make you too hot. So if it's cool on that trip, I would love to have this one. And this is going with me on all of my upcoming knitting trips. It's going with me to Shetland, it's going with me to Australia, and it's going with me on the Christmas trip. So this one is a definite finish, and I would like to get it finished by May. So that is work in progress number 3. And then my last, well, I actually have 5 works in progress, and one of them is a multiple. So I decided that I love the patterns by a pattern designer named Zanette Knits. And I decided I was going to be part of her mystery knit along, and that this is what I was going to do to get my sweater mojo back, because I had had a couple sweater fails and I wasn't feeling good about knitting sweaters. And I just thought, you know, I need to be in something where it's got deadlines and I'm working with other people and I can see what's going on with other people. And even though it's a mystery and I won't know what I'm knitting, I like Zanette's patterns. There's very few of her patterns that I wouldn't just be fine with knitting, especially her color work yoke patterns. And I've never knit a color work yoke before. I've done a color work cowl, I've done color work socks, I've done a color work, I've done the pressed flower sock, which is mosaic knitting instead of stranded color work. But I haven't really done a round yoke sweater on me. So being the Spatially Challenged Knitter, did I take advantage of the school platform that Zanette had set up to support the knitters? No. Did I go with what the pattern said instead of panicking and going to the local yarn shop and saying, what do I do? Because it says I'm supposed to stop knitting here, but look, it's clear up here. It doesn't even go under my armpit. What do I do? Should I knit longer? Yes. So what I ended up with is the start of an incredibly gorgeous colorwork sweater. And I don't know if you can see it to do it justice. The only thing I'm not loving about it is that these twisted braids that we did, mine are not like perfect. And it does bug me, but I'm not enough to rip back and do it again because they took forever. And I have to do them again. So, eek. But anyway, it's gorgeous. And I have loved knitting it. I use Knit Companion to do the colorwork charts, to set it up. It's been amazing. It made it so nice and easy. What I'm going to do, so what I did was, I was supposed to stop at row 14, it said, according to my size. And I am actually on stitch gauge. I'm a little teeny bit short on row gauge. So I knew I'd have to knit a little longer. And I should put this up and move back so you can see. This doesn't have the neck in it yet. So I'm gonna have to pick up. So it's supposed to be like here on my shoulders. And then you can see I'm down to here. So what I actually did was, instead of just taking the 8 inches that it said I was supposed to have in the yoke, I went with the collective wisdom at the knitting shop and just kept knitting. And so instead of stopping at row 14, I went to row 34. Then row 34 wasn't long enough, so I flipped the pattern, and you can see where I've reversed this pattern, and I started doing the bottom part of the diamond down. Well, what I didn't realize, because this was a mystery knit along and we were only getting the clues once a week, was if I do that, I screw up this whole bottom part of the sweater. So I have to, so this has been in the puzzle table for a while now, because this is so much work. I mean, it's fun. It's really addictive. It's not hard, except for the braids, and I even get the braids now, but it takes forever, and I'm going to have to put a lifeline in, and I think I will go a little bit longer. I think for my size, which I think I'm knitting a size 4 on this, I think my yoke depth was supposed to be like 8, it says 8 1/4 inches. And I honestly think because I have a long torso and a big chest, I kind of think I would be better at the next size up, which is a 5, which is 9 inches. So it goes from 8 1/4, and that's a big jump. It goes to 9 inches. So I'm going to measure back 9 to 9 inches and then run a lifeline and rip back to wherever it should be into part of this at 9 inches. And then reknit, split for the sleeves then, the way I'm supposed to. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the neck and then separate for the sleeves, go down a little bit more on the yoke pattern, start one of the sleeves, because this pattern actually goes on to the sleeve as well. So I'm going to start one of the sleeves up here, and where it should be at the top, and then she actually leaves you room to go down like this, and that's what I should have been doing all along, instead of trying to have this completely fit underneath my arm. So it's coming off the puzzle table, because this I want to take on every knitting trip that I go on. It doesn't have to be done in May, and it can't be done in May, to take to Toronto with me, because I think it would be too warm for Toronto. But it does have to be done by July 1st, because it's going to Australia and New Zealand, because that is their winter, in July. So I want to be able to take this and wear this there. I want to be able to take it to the Shetland Islands in September. And I want to take it on the knitting trip that I'm going on November, December to the Christmas markets, because I think this looks like a really nice Christmas sweater. So the plan is go back, put in a lifeline, put on the neck, separate for sleeves for the size 5, just to give myself extra wiggle room, because my arms, my arms are not super small, especially up here. I've got, the arm chub. And I've got a long chest. So I want to be able to make sure that I've given myself enough room. So I may not go quite the whole 9 inches. Maybe I'll go like 8 3/4, give myself an extra 1/2 inch from what I was supposed to for the size 4. Or I may decide, let's just do the 9 inches to be sure. Because I could have knit the size 5, but it would have been, I think, too big. Especially up in here. It would have been way too big for me. So I wanted to have a closer fitting sweater up here, and I may actually go out to the size 5 as I get down here into the plain stockinette. After this, I might add in some stitches down here and go and add the size 5, because I could probably use the extra ease down at my hips. So anyway, this has a plan. It's coming off the puzzle table, and it has a deadline. It's got to be done by July 1st. And so anyway, if you've never seen Zanette, the Do You Knit 2, this was the second year she had done a mystery knit along like this. And it starts in January of every year. If you've never done it before, I highly recommend. The full pattern is now available with pictures on Ravelry, so you can see the full sweater. And if you like the pattern, you can buy the pattern on Ravelry, and you get all the clues at once. Okay, so that is work in progress number 4-ish? 4, I think. All right, work in progress number 5. Why I said I would do this, I don't know, but it's the stupid City Connect socks that I keep putting off because they're plain vanilla socks and they're boring. And the kids socks, which is where I'm at now, I had actually finished these thinking they were for my older grandson, and I had my younger grandson try them on, and they fit him perfectly. And it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to make the other ones bigger. So I'm back in it for the other grandson, and I have my son-in-law's, because these are Amy's, and I still haven't sewn the SD on it for San Diego Padres. So hers are done, just need the SD sewn on. Brady's are done, have a couple ends to weave in up here, but his are completely done. Emity's, I'm back to knitting small circumference knitting on magic loop, which is why it's still sitting like this. It should be done. It could have been done months ago, but I hate it so much. But I've just got to buckle down and start doing it. And Mark's, I've turned the heel and on the first sock, and have like this much of his foot done. So I'm getting ready. I looked up what a men's size 10.5 was and how long I should be making it. And so I'm going to go with that. So his should be done easily by the end of April. I will try to get Emmett's done by the end of April, because I want him to be able to wear them on Friday nights when the Padres are wearing their City Connect uniforms, especially since we found out this is the last year for these colors for the City Connect uniforms, and next year they're going to come out with a new City Connect uniform, but the kids' feet will have grown and they will have outgrown theirs anyway, and Mark and Amy can wear theirs to the ballpark under their jeans and no one will care. So The last work in progress that I'm actively working on is the City Connect socks, which I hope to have done by April. And then I still have Mike's, which are almost done, and mine, which I haven't started and may never start at this point in time because I'm so sick of City Connect socks. So anyway, those are my works in progress. Now, what do I have left on my list? Well, that number 6 was the City Connect socks. So you can see that. So I'm working on them. Number 7 was Emmett's sweater, and I wanted to get it done by February. And it's just straight knitting. It's actually getting warm out by him, although it's still chilly at night, and especially like you go to the ballpark at night, but he has sweatshirts and stuff. So I'm thinking I'm just going to knit it in a little bit bigger size, and I'm going to have it ready for him for fall and winter of 2025. So it says get it done by February. I'm going to get it done by fall 2025. And then he will be able to wear it. Number 8 was my Rosalind top. It's like a vest. It says top, but really what it is a vest. And I would like to take that on the trips with me. I'd like to take that to Toronto with me. I don't know that I can get it done, but I do know with Knit Companion, I have a shot now because I can put the charts, take pictures of the charts, put them in order, reverse them when I'm going back so I can go from chart 1 to chart 2 to chart 3 to chart 3, which is reversed, to chart 2, which is reversed, to chart 1, which is reversed. And so I can do all that on Knit Companion now, and I have a chance at doing the sweater now and doing it right. So I'm going to keep this date of August 15th for that sweater. The purple fern sweater knitting for Olive, I honestly thought I was going to take that with me to on the trip, and I'm kind of having second thoughts on it. It's beautiful. I still want to make the sweater, but I'm not sure that that's the sweater that I want to take on the trip with me. So I'm thinking. I have another sweater which I will introduce to you in the April edition. It's a cardigan, and it is going with me on the Christmas trip. It doesn't have to be done before November because I won't wear it until the Christmas trip. So I do want to get another beyond this sweater. The Do You Knit sweater. Do You Yoke sweater, not Do You Knit. Do You Yoke sweater. I do want to get a second sweater done that I've knit to take with me to Shetland and to Australia. So that means by July. So I've got to get knitting. I got to get these baby blankets out of the way, get these dumb socks out of the way, and finish up that maple vest so I can get and knitting seriously on sweaters. And it'll be a more plain sweater, not a all stockinette, because I don't want an all stockinette, but it will be a more plain sweater so that I have the color work. And then when I can't do color work anymore, because I can last about an hour to hour and a half of doing the color work, and then I start screwing it up. So I want something else that I can then go from sweater to sweater. And then I've got to do the My Jose hood for November for me, and my mittens as well for November. And I have a little scarf I bought at Vogue Knitting. I bought really cool yarn with like pearls and stuff in it and sequins. And I'd like to do the little scarf so that I can wear it at night over plainer clothes, because a lot of the clothes I think I'm going to be taking are like Woolens t-shirts and stuff with a cardigan over it. And then it'd be nice to just maybe be able to put it over your Woolens shirt or just a blouse to keep your neck warm with a cardigan, this fancier little scarf. And it's not a huge project. So those are, I guess I went out of works in progress to what else is going to happen. So what else is going to happen, future knitting plans that have to happen on the deadline. One other sweater, not quite sure what it's going to be. I kind of know, and I really want to do it. I have the cream yarn for it. I don't have the gray because I like her so much. I'm just going to totally copy her. So I pretty much know it's going to be this sweater. And I'll show you next time. I have the cardigan, which has its own issues. And then I have the little scarf and the 2 sets of mittens, 1 hood, and just the things that need to be finished. So that's future knitting. So I will be back in April with another podcast. I will let you know, I will hopefully have a lot of finished things. I may not have them to show you, but I will take some B-roll footage of them before I give them away to people. Hopefully I will have figured out and ripped back my Do You Yoke sweater, and we'll be making good progress on that, and we'll have finished the maple vest. And that's it. So hopefully a little quicker podcast than normal. And I'm trying to think if there's anything that I've forgotten. Just the basics, I would really love it. It would help me if you would like and subscribe to the channel. Love to hear comments from you. It's not fun if you never comment and ask questions. So maybe you could tell me what you're working on. My knitting plans are obviously not what people would consider to be summer knitting. Everybody right now is doing their spring knits, their summer knits, they're getting out their cottons. I'm still knitting all winter stuff because I'm knitting for these trips that I'm going on. So maybe you could say what you're knitting on, what you're working on for the summer. I can live vicariously through you, and you can let me know what your plans are for summer knitting. And I will see you in April. And if I think of anything else, I will put it on the end here. And happy knitting. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.